Hello, techies, traders, and haters alike. It's DSSE back here with episode 2 of Tech Talk. We've got Aaron on the other end and Patrick here, and we are looking at a video on 3D printed houses. Now, I don't know if many of you even know about this, but we're here to tell you it could be a huge disruptor in this part of construction. So I'm going to confine over to Aaron. He's been looking at this stuff and really understanding it for the last little bit. So I'm going to confide to him. How you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing great. It's nice to see you and everyone else. The video you're watching is a video put out by the construction company Squad. This is the example of their demo home they've built using their 3D printing technology. The video was from a Reuters article called "Printed in Days, a House New York Takes 3D Printing to the Next Level." This example is for their demo home, but they've recently listed a home almost identical on Zillow for $299,000. So this is just one of the first examples of a 3D printed home that you can actually buy in the United States. What is 3D printing, Pat?
Well, 3D printing, I've got one here. Check it out. Goes back and forth and makes stuff. It's pretty cool. I'm not brainless when it comes to 3D printing. I don't have a lot of information on this house building stuff, but the concepts are much the same, best I can tell, on a little bit of research that I've done here. But essentially, in this case as well, there's different types of 3D printing, but in this version and the one that I'm used to, you literally layer items on top of each other with a different kind of media. Now, the media that I'm used to is some sort of plastic. I think you can probably see the reel here. This is a PLA material that we use on my drone parts, that you can see back here. It's either PLA or an ABS. These are pretty inexpensive materials to print from. And you can print things from chess pieces to a little iPad stand that I've got here. And I don't know if you can see is it styrations? Is that how you say that? And it layers it on, yeah, piece by piece, layer by layer. And that's kind of what you've seen in the video. I think I got a good shot there. And
yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, and it it takes a little bit of getting used to, but it can build just about anything. This, again, is a plastic version, and it's an ABS, and what you're seeing in the video there is a concrete version. And again, it's just layering on top of each other, rather than all the framing and all the people involved. It's just one little machine. In a matter of 40 minutes, you can get a little, like a figure, or you can create gears where they work intermesh. So I suggest everyone, if you're new to 3D printing, just go take a look at some of the things that are available. But this particular technology has gotten into home building, and not just home building, but any structure that you're looking for. They're right out there, and they're doing it in a matter of days, which is, that's the part that's most exciting to me, because you're used to a home construction taking months, right? It doesn't even matter the size of the house. If it can be down to 1,000 square feet, it's still going to take a number of weeks to build that home. And that's if everybody shows up for work. So I really think this could be a huge disruptor in construction. And it's just a huge, it's not even necessarily new. It's just a huge change in what we've been doing for, I think, just about ever since we've been building structures. So yeah, it's really exciting. And you, Aaron, know more about the home building side of these things. So take us through it.
So yes, 3D printing in home construction is taking off. It's being developed by quite a few different companies around the world. You've got companies from Russia, China, Italy, America, all pursuing these technologies.
Wow.
The costs of these homes that are being built, in addition to that, are being brought way down comparably to a more traditionally constructed home in a lot of circumstances. The overall cost for some of the smaller ones, we're going to give you some examples of one built by a company called Icon here in a little bit. And on those homes, you're looking at a 650 square foot home, somewhere in that ballpark, for around $10,000 right now here in the US. That price is expected to come down.
$10,000.
$10,000. Yep. In about 3 days. So not only is the cost low, but the time you got to wait is really short. It's really exciting.
10 grand. That's unbelievable.
For Icon, their target is to try to bring the cost of that home down to around $4,000 in the long run. However, there are companies globally. China has one called WinSun that was actually able back in 2014 to print 10 homes in a single day at a roughly $4,800 a house, which is, just mind blowing that that's even possible. Another company called Wasp they're using on-site materials to build their projects. So instead of bringing in materials, they'll use the dirt and things and vegetation that's on site to create their mix for the walls or their concrete substitute.
Yeah, and I know I think we're gonna talk about some stuff on maybe a different planet a little later, and then it's gonna come back a little bit on using the stuff that's around you. Yeah, cool, very awesome. Okay.
So really cool idea to use what's there. So if resources are scarce, well, who cares? You use what's there and you're not stopped. So with that method, Wasp is actually they built a house where the cost of materials were only $900, which is insanity.
I don't care what the size of the house is. If I can fit in it and it costs that much, it's enough.
Yeah. You can't buy a pre-built shed for that, in most places these days. So
right.
Well, I don't know if that's true. I haven't shopped for sheds in a while. So
yeah, it's probably pretty close.
Don't hold it against me if I'm a little off on the figure there.
Yeah, well,
still,
I guarantee cheap. I won't. Yeah, and I imagine there's things like, you say a shed, but man, I mean, the cost, the time. Okay, so we got cost and time. What about things like termites? They're not going to eat this stuff, right? They're not going to. You can't. It's concrete. I live in Georgia. Here, they're going to eat. They eat houses all the time. And you got cost associated with that. The damage that you could put because of, or you could have in your wood framed home, could be the cost of your home if you 3D print it. What is this? That's crazy.
Well, and in addition to that, the structures generally are much stronger than wooden structures. So in hurricane areas, things like that, it's less likely to get destroyed. And if something is destroyed and it was 3D printed in a hurricane area, well, how long does it take to
give me 20 minutes
the house? Yeah.
Done. Jeez. And the hurricane thing is the great point on the hurricane thing and storms and floods even, I gotta believe, man, that's something. Jeez.
So with the cost and the costs are time costs, costs of materials, costs of labor, all of those get reduced. So what it opens up the door in the possibilities of home ownership for a lot of people that may not have traditionally thought they would be able to afford one. It might bring these homes down to a price that, once again, the everyman and woman can achieve the American dream. And that'd be an amazing thing.
And you think low cost housing in general, government housing, where you can't or shouldn't spend the money on something like that. We should be using this stuff already. I mean, I guess we are, but not to an effect where most people know about it. Hence this video. Wow.
Yep. But man, is it coming. So the next thing we'll talk about a little bit more specifically would be a company called Icon. Now, Icon, in my opinion, is the icon of 3D printing. Because these guys are just blowing me away every time I check their webpage. I'm blown away by the next thing they've done. I've been watching these guys for a little while now, and I can't get enough. Every time they put up a new thing, it's just crazy. So this company has developed the Vulcan and the Vulcan 2 3D printer. And the concept is you'd pour your slab, have your slab ready for the size building you want to print. And using a tablet computer, you simply enter the design for the walls you want. The machine sits on the slab and it rolls itself forward and backwards and up and down and in and out, and it will layer out all your walls. So you can print whatever shape. If you don't want the house exactly where the walls are, you just edit and then hit print. As long as it's structurally sound, it should be fine.
Awesome.
It just really changes the game of what can be done. This company was the first company to 3D print a home in the United States. They built that in partnership with News Story as a demonstration of what's capable. They later took that same technology and they printed a community in both Tabasco, Mexico for the residents there that were in need, as well as for the Austin, Texas homeless population.
So it's happening.
The one in, yeah, the one in Tabasco was a partnership with News Story and a Shale. And the community they did in Austin, Texas was in partnership with Mobile Loaves and Fishes, an outreach community or an outreach group in that area. So the possibility, that's showing an example that this technology could be used to uplift some of the most desperate people that are out there on the planet, give them a sense of security, a safe structure to be inside, you know, basic tenants, food, shelter, and love. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And I think of recovery, you know, the recovery. Yeah, I think of recovery hurricanes. Like you come in here and you just, okay, need some temporary housing, or we even permanent. I guess one thing doesn't have to do without the other. And the recovery can be inexpensive and time. Oh, geez, I'm sorry. This really is exciting to me. I said earlier it could be a huge disruptor, but man, it really could change the game. And I'm really happy to see it's actually coming to fruition in parts of the country and other countries already. There's competition spewing, spawning up everywhere.
So the system they're using is designed to be incredibly simple, which is part of what makes it so fantastic. The Vulcan and Vulcan 2 printers are controlled by a tablet computer. It's simple enough that they worked with a partnership with the United States Marine Corps. And while they did that, they trained the Marines on how to use their equipment. It only took them a few hours to get the Marines up to speed. And then they simply had a few ICON members supervise while the Marines used the equipment to do their first 3D prints. Now, what they needed the printer for, or what they were attempting to use the printer for, was to create a vehicle hide that would be much taller than the maximum 8.5 feet walls that the 3D printer is capable of. So instead of building the structure vertically, like you normally would layer a house,
right,
they turned the print on its side and they printed it horizontally. So they were building out horizontally on the structure. Once they got to a certain size width, they stopped the print for that piece, used a crane, tipped it up on its end, so it's much taller than it otherwise would be. And they just printed section after section after section until it was long enough for the entire vehicle. Within just a few days, they were able to get this all up and running. And they were actually able to build a vehicle hide for some kind of crazy rocket launcher thing. I don't know what it is. I'm just not that deep on military.
Right. It was big. It was big.
It was very large. Yeah, large enough. I think it's a rocket launcher. So,
and there are some limits,
vehicle,
like
probably the size for a fire truck or a bus, something like that.
And like you said, there is limits. There's limits to how high the printer. I guess at this point, you said 8 feet. Is that what you said?
8.5 feet is their maximum height on that one. They can do 28 inches wide on their print width, and they can do about 5 to 7 inches a second on the print speed. So it's pretty fast on the rate that it's going around and layering this up.
That's existing. Yeah, that's existing.
And that's existing. So in addition to stuff like a vehicle hide, a needed immediate structure somewhere that you might need construction fast, if you're dealing with rescue situations or military situations and you need to move things from one place to another, one of the biggest stumbling blocks is when you need a bridge. Now, if you're trying to ford a river or something like that, and you have LiDAR, which these days you can get built into your iPhone 12, you could scan, you could simply scan the area you need to get across, enter that into the computer, map out a bridge that would fit that exact ford that you need to make, and then print the structure, drop it in place, and your bridge is done. So if a bridge got washed out and you need to evacuate people due to a natural disaster, this is a way you can make a temporary bridge now and not have to wait for months for them to figure out how to get these people out of there or air flight them all out. It's really amazing what might come from this. And this is just some of the stuff we're realizing. There's just like any other emerging technology, there's going to be 50 different things at least that someone else comes up with we never thought about right now. That's just, oh yeah, well, of course that can happen. So it'll be really neat to see what comes with all of that. What do you think about the military stuff? Any other
Well,
ways you think they could deploy this technology in a current manner?
well, I was also thinking, not as a direct answer, but I was also, while you're talking there, I was also thinking about the fire retardant. I gotta believe it's a little harder to set these things on fire. You know, we talk about
Yes.
disasters and hurricanes and termites and things like that. I think about fire. You know, these, we burn houses down all the time. Now, I guess roofs and things are still currently, well, you could be metal, but they're still constructed with wood, right? We still have some construction that has to occur to the tops and maybe sides and the other things. Windows have to be installed. So there, it doesn't eliminate those types of things, but yeah, fire retardation, the termites, insulation has to be superior, right? I mean, the barrier between the outer elements, the outdoor elements, and the inside, I have to believe that's all superior. Just amazing technology. I'm so, I mean, it's not even that, it's not even that impressive. It's just a little thing that goes back and forth, back and forth. No big deal. No big deal.
So we do have to use wood for now. I mean, how long till they come up with something that fixes that problem? You've got 3D printing currently being done with carbon fiber. You've got 3D printing being done with metals.
Wow.
You've got 3D printing
Yeah.
being done with concrete. There's going to be some other material, I have to imagine, that eventually will take the place of the remaining construction. And maybe you just 3D print the roof and then drop it on top of the walls.
Yeah, and I know that, not to interrupt, but I know that they're doing the prefab stuff. I know Amazon's big into creating these prefab things where they could build it off site, bring it in. Like, I know the roofs could be part of that structure. And also, you know, I guess you could do plastic at that point, or you could do metal, different types of roof structures that you don't have to build on site. Anyway.
Yeah. Or maybe they just come up with an integrated solar solution where they print the frame,
yeah.
and then you drop something like a Tesla solar roof on top. It could get really crazy really quick. Now, why are we bringing all of this up? Well, at the beginning of the video, we showed you Squad's first demo home being built, which they've currently listed a almost identical home for $299,000 on Zillow. Well, Icon just today, literally just today, put a new story on their website. And I'm super stoked.
Comment or
wait
in the video description. We'll put in a video description for everybody.
We'll put the link in the video description for all of the different stuff. Just go nuts on Icon's webpage. Every single link is pretty much mind-blowing. It's worth a look, even if just to learn. It's amazing. But they've currently started a new project. And this new project is in conjunction with 3 Strands, which is using Icon's printer to start printing houses for sale. They're printing in Austin, Texas, a whole community of up to 2,000 square foot homes you can buy. It's happening, people. This is going to change construction. There's 2 companies already that are printing houses that you can start buying. How long does it take till this just starts becoming the status quo? If this is that, do you want to wait a year and a half for your house that might not be built as solidly, or do you want to wait 2 weeks and you can move in?
Dude, the cost is usually the decider, man. The cost is usually the decider. And I think, I mean, geez, you could 10x that and it would still sell. I mean, people would still buy it. I do have a little concern about those layers being visible. I don't know how popular that will be. I think that people might be able to, you know, trowel the outside maybe, or I guess you could side it. I mean, you could still put vinyl siding on it. I guess you could still brick it if it's a little funny to you, if you don't like that. But as far as the wood framing and the sheetrock and I guess you could sheetrock the inside too if you wanted to. I don't know why you would, but I guess you could if you wanted to. Or you could still hang stuff on it. But if you don't like the texture, and I know we've been through a lot of textures
Oh,
in construction, from spitball ceilings to, I know in Florida and Texas, they have these like wipe on walls that you just can't fix. I do a lot of like, work in construction. I can do all that stuff. And they have these walls, like a plaster walls, and I think it makes it easier to install them so they can hide the seams, and they round the corners, but you can't go cut a hole in that wall and then fix it, And so it'd be interesting to see how people warm up to the, that look, or how we hide that look. Again, cost makes big changes here.
I think the people that have the money to pay for finishing services will do so.
Yeah.
But I think the people that are trying to get a starting house are going to deal with the lines because they can afford that. And if they want to make it look pretty and go over it with an epoxy surface or a sheetrock or
Right.
a siding or whatever kind of aesthetic they want to do, they can add that later down the line, but it's not required to make the house functional to get into.
Do you have any idea of the regulations? Can you currently hire these people to come build you a home? Or, I mean, you said there was some building in Austin. I know that, but there's got to be some governmental regulations and code that has to be adhered to. Do you have any idea?
I'm not sure if I imagine, just like with other building codes, it's going to be a state by state process. There's certain states in the United States where there are no building codes. Certain counties in Colorado, other than septic, you can do whatever you want. If you want to take some lumber out there and you've never built a house before in your life and you want to put together a box that you're going to stay
rare.
in,
Yeah,
you're allowed
rare.
to do that.
Yeah, you can smoke pot at the same
but
time.
There's other states like the one I live in where I can't fart without getting a permit. So it depends on where you live on what that looks like. I imagine the desperation to clean up some of these overly taxed areas where the homeless population is just getting out of control because people can't afford the price of a house. Not because they're losers, not because they don't want to work, not because they're not trying to be productive members of society. But if you're working at Burger King 40 hours a week, you may not be able to afford a place to stay. It's
Right.
just getting very expensive these days.
Yeah.
Another cost benefit
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say another cost benefit I just realized is having a house built. What happens when you're having a house built? Say you move to a new state and you want a house built. What are you doing? Where are you staying? You're renting a place, right? How many months are you renting that place? How much money are you wasting just waiting for the thing you want to be complete? Half a year to have your house built? I don't know how much rent costs in your area, but out here, a year's worth of rent could buy me a car.
Yeah, right. Soon won't have to do that anymore either, with all the taxis that are going to be running around this place, right?
That's a different episode.
And again, when it comes to disruption, you're talking a lot of jobs here, and that's not necessarily a good thing. But be that as it may, the cost comes down because the jobs are gone, and the time goes down, the jobs are gone, and maybe they transform into new kinds of jobs and technical jobs. But definitely a disruption.
So lastly, with Icon Build, this is one time I can tell you it's a fact, not an opinion, that this company is going to the moon. That's because they're currently in a partnership with NASA to develop a printer that could eventually be used for lunar exploration. As you can see here on the screen, these are some concepts of what they think these constructed projects might look like in the future. Now, to accomplish this, they're working with NASA using lunar soil simulants in order to develop a type of concrete mixture that could be made while on the moon,
Right.
rather than having to be transported there, because the weight and cost to get it there is just so exponentially more expensive. So you can see it's really, really an exciting time to see what's going on in the world. I mean, you've got SpaceX pushing us further and further in outer space, where we finally have an American space program again that launches people from America. That's pretty exciting.
And it's not the only one. They actually have a little bit of competition with Virgin, and I know that I think Amazon's gotten involved in this. And you say NASA is going to be, put stuff up. I got to believe that SpaceX is going to be bringing these printers up there, and Oh my goodness, this is intense. I'm really jealous of my children to be able to see all this stuff. Maybe the breakthroughs in biogenomics will let me stay alive a little bit longer, or we can become cyborgs or something, right? The
Right,
resistance is
right.
futile of some kind, but this is just an amazing thing, and to be able to, I mean, you can really understand that building a moon base, that's nearly impossible. I guess we would go about it the same way that we did with the space station, right? We would build it piece by piece by piece and bring that stuff up there. We have to assemble it and think of the cost, right? And I know that NASA was unable to continue without the help from a private company like SpaceX. So,
Right.
this takes the cost and just puts it all down in the dumper. And if we can really do that from the materials that are sitting on that, I almost called it a planet, on that moon, this is just fantastic. I mean, this could really be a reality. This is very, very, very cool.
Overcrowding could become less of a problem.
I would just go print you
sure,
another hut,
for sure.
We just go print you another hut.
Exactly. Yep.
Jeez,
Yep.
that is really something. And the technology will continue to morph. The technology will continue to change and improve. Right now, we're printing little things of concrete, but again, the time and the cost and the things that are involved before this, you couldn't do it, and now you can. And now and it's not even, God, it's not even the technology needs to be more advanced. It's just we go utilize it at this point. It's so exciting. Very cool. Very cool. Go Icon. I got to give it to you guys.
Yeah.
I hope they are you guys. I hope your company, guys and girls alike, I hope that you become public soon. Please let us trade you.
Yes, please, please. We want to buy you. Or if there's a private round, please invite us. We'd like it. We'll take the invite.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very cool, man. Very cool. Well, nothing but excitement here. And, please join, subscribe. We got our Patreon kicking. We're just getting started. This is episode 2, and bringing stuff like this to people who may not otherwise have seen something like this. This is exactly what we're trying to do. 3D printing has been around for a long time, but when you start talking about this type of application, this blows my mind. And if it's blowing your mind, tell me about it in the comments. Tell me about it. Tell Aaron about it. It's just very fascinating. Stick with us. We'll be back next week for another one. Episode 3. What's it going to be about? I don't know. We'll talk about it. But thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you soon.
Have a good one.